Welcome back to another edition of Strengthening Oklahoma. On this edition of Strengthening Oklahoma, it's brought to you by The Garage. Visit eatatthegarage.com to find a location near you and order online from the garage in your neighborhood. All right, we got bowl slate set. The Sooners are Orlando, Florida bound to the Cheez-It Bowl, and somebody's going to be trying to be munching on some Florida State passes. We got our guy, cornerback, Mr. Woodi Washington. Woody, how we doing, man?
Doing good. How are y'all?
We're doing great. We are doing great. Did it feel good to have a little week off last week? Let that body rest up a little bit. Like, how you feeling here? Well over a week removed from having a game.
Feeling good. I'm not as sore as I was last week, so that's always a plus. Just really getting into recovery and just getting ready for this bowl game.
So I'm assuming you finished the season healthy. Then you're still in one piece, which is always a good thing. You guys, you found out you're going to play Florida State in the Cheez-It Bowl. I feel like I have to ask everyone, are you planning on playing in the bowl game?
Yes, sir. I'm planning on playing in the bowl game.
Well, there we go. That's good to know.
That is good to know. You never know these days. And, obviously it's up to you guys. That had to be exciting, though. I mean, this is a really good bowl game. Orlando, Florida, nice place to go, especially in the wintertime when it gets cold. And to play a big brand and a program that's playing well in Florida State, could potentially be an awesome way to end the season that didn't go the way you guys thought. When you first saw the bowl announced, I mean, what was your thought process? Were you fired up? Were you excited?
Definitely fired up game for me. My dad grew up a Florida State fan, so getting to play against his favorite school when he was a kid, it's definitely always something that'll be fun. So I get to go against my dad's favorite school when he was a kid. I mean, now I know his school is Oklahoma, but to be able to go against the school that he used to like, it'll be fun.
That smells like a family bet to me. That'll be fun, Woody. Now, it got announced yesterday. I'm assuming you haven't taken a deep dive into Florida State film at all, but do you know anything about their team? Have you been able to see them play at all or anything like that?
Not really. I watched the LSU game early in the year. I know they got a quarterback that can run the ball really well. Got a couple of receivers. I know they got a real tall receiver, like 6'7" or something like that. But I haven't really watched too much of the film, so I don't know their schemes and anything like that on offense. But no, it'll be a good test for us.
Yeah, quarterback Jordan Travis played great. He's got really good mobility and escapability. And you mentioned the receiver, Johnny Wilson, the Oregon transfer, 6'7", 235. So you'll have to play big out there on the edge, which I know you have no problem being able to do. So transfer portal opens up today. It's a crazy new world. There's a lot of people hopping in the portal, hopping out of the portal. You said you're going to play in the bowl game, but you also have another year of eligibility with the COVID year. That's obviously a situation I'm sure you've talked through with your family, with the coaching staff. Have you made a decision in that regard if you're going to have one more season back at the University of Oklahoma?
I haven't made any decisions yet. I'm just taking it slow, trying to wait until after the bowl game to see what my options are. One could be going to the NFL, or one could be coming back. I don't plan on transferring and going anywhere else. Those are my really two options.
I like that. OU fans are going to like hearing that, yeah. Woody. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you. Now, when you're considering putting your name in the NFL draft, is it something where you're just relying on what the coaches are telling you, that NFL teams are telling them, or how's that process? How involved is your family in that decision making? What all goes into that decision for you?
Definitely a family decision. I mean, coming back to school it's always not a bad or a good option. I mean, it's plenty of risk that go each way. So I mean, just talking to my parents and seeing what the best options are for me, seeing where I fall in the draft, as far as my grade and all those type of things. So just looking into that, and I mean, I've been talking with coaches and making sure that they're talking to the right people to see where my name is, where the buzz is around my name. So, really just seeing where I fall in the draft to see if I need to go ahead and take my chance or come back to school.
Gather as much information as possible. Now, were you able to put your name in that process to get a grade? Like, is that something that have you gotten that back yet, or is that still something that?
No, I haven't.
This year, like, and again, with especially when Billy went down, you had to play some safety. Corner, feels to me like your true position, but you showed some versatility. Looking back on the year, it wasn't the year overall defensively you guys wanted, but for you individually, when you look back and assess your play, how'd you feel you did?
I feel like I had a pretty good year. Maybe gave up a few balls, but happens as a corner. But other than that, I feel like I had a pretty good, solid year. Just having to guard most of the time team's best receiver, so I think I did a great job of. I wouldn't say shutting them down, but pretty solid against all those guys, and just look forward to it. Keep looking forward to it.
So, and this is, it's kind of hard to evaluate this, when you're in the moment throughout the season, but did you feel like you got better? I know that that's kind of a simple question, but as the season progressed, did you feel like you got more comfortable in the scheme, more comfortable with the techniques? Like, did you feel like you improved significantly?
Yes, sir, for sure. Especially from a preparation standpoint, and just going into a game knowing what offenses like to do. Like we didn't really get that same type of feeling last year with the last coaching staff, as far as going into a game and knowing what the offense doing. Like we knew what we were supposed to do, but a lot of times we didn't have an idea what the actual offense that we were going against was running. And I think that this year the coaches did a great job of emphasizing, like, knowing what the other teams are running, and just knowing their personnel and who they like to go to and what downs and things like that. So I think that was a really big deal for me, the preparation standpoint of the game. And then from a physical standpoint, I feel like I got a lot more physical, especially at the tackling point with Coach Vilay coaching me this year. He really emphasized that for me. So I think if I keep working with him, I can get a lot better. So.
I totally agree with that assessment. I thought that you improved throughout the course of the year. I thought you had a really nice year, man. I think you should feel good about what you put on tape. You mentioned that, if you keep working with him, you think you can get that much better. Talk to us about Coach Vilay. He came in, obviously, when I've been around him, he's got a great energy about him. He seems always upbeat. Dude is in unbelievable shape. I'm pretty sure he works out about 3 times a day. But what was it like being in his room this year, getting a chance to go through an entire season with him?
It was great. Like you said, he's an energetic guy. He's real passionate about the game, so he wants it just as bad as we do as players. So that's the kind of coach you want, really. He always has us coming up, watching film, and doing all those extra things just to make us get ahead of just not even just guys on our own team, but really everybody in the country. And I think as a cornerback group and as a defensive back group, we improved like dramatically, because I know going into the year and previous years, we haven't always had the best group of DBs giving up deep balls and stuff like that. And we had a really good year with that. Other than the Tech game, I don't think we gave up, but maybe 6 or 7 more than 20-yard bombs the whole entire year. So for us to improve that much just in 1 year, I think the years down the line will be great.
So seeing that improvement this season and kind of feeling the way that you feel now about the preparation and the progress y'all made, does that have you excited for next year? I know you said you haven't made a decision, but like when you think about that option of coming back, are you excited about the potential of this defense next season?
Definitely. The guys that they have coming in and the guys that we have coming back, I think if those guys just lock in and buy into what the coaches are telling them and everything that they need to do to in order to succeed, I think it'll be great for us for the program in the future. And like you said, whether I come back or not, I know we're in good hands, especially in the corner room with guys like Gentry and Jaden Rowe, Canal Walker. I know those guys are going to keep working and try to put on.
For people that don't know, I'm curious from your perspective. this new defense, Coach Venable's defense, Coach Roof, just from a complexity standpoint, how much more is on you guys maybe in this defense than what you'd had previously since you've been in Oklahoma?
I would say it's a lot more. I mean, because with this defense, you kind of have to know what the guy beside you is doing. Not so much with the last defense that we had. I mean, because this year, it's like if you mess up this gap as a backer, then the other gapper better. I mean, the other backer better know the gap that you're supposed to be in, just in case, because he don't want to go in that same gap, and you don't want to have a color on color. So I mean, I think that was really the main thing that kind of made it a little harder to play defense this year for us. Because just like I said last year, it was just find the open gap. This year, it's like a gap sound defense, so you have to be in the exact right gap that you were supposed to be in. So I think that was really the hardest part of just playing this defense. I mean, for a corner, you don't play cover 2, cover 3 man, so it's not really much you have to know. I mean, most of the time, in some coverage, you'll have to know that you're working with the safety or something like that. But for a corner, it's really a basic defense. Like any defense is basic for a corner. So I think it was more difficult for the backers in the line more than anything.
Yeah, no, but I think you guys had an interesting year defensively. Now there's no doubt you guys had your rough patches, right? As an entire defense. What was going through that like for you, for the guys on that defense? Obviously there was a lot of negativity on the outside about the couple stretches you guys had and how you played defensively. How'd you handle all of that, and kind of what was that like for you?
It was definitely different, like you said. I mean, in the past we haven't always had the best defense, but I mean we won games with it. I mean, and this year honestly, I think we had a better defense than we had the previous years, but at times we just couldn't figure it out, and we were giving up a lot of plays. But I think as the season went on, we eventually locked in, and we got a lot better. I feel like towards the end, especially towards the end of the season. I mean, just holding guys to 21 or 28 points or whatever the score may be. But I think the main thing was just the offense and the defense working together. I don't think we did a very good job with that this year. If we just work on that and trying to play off of each other, it'll be good.
Complementary football, I believe, is what they refer to that being, and be a perfect time to do that against Florida State in the Cheez-It Bowl. Have you ever been to Orlando? Have you ever been to Disney, Woody? You know that they have there inside of one of the parks, they've got a Toy Story land. I think Woody's got a ride or two, so you might really enjoy yourself, man.
No, yeah, I've been to Orlando and Disney World. I'm going to say 8th grade summer playing AAU basketball. For nationals. We went to Orlando, so it was pretty fun.
Oh yeah, I've done the AAU nationals at the Disney Wild World of Sports. I know what you're talking about, man. Back in the day, as the kids say. I think we got third. Tough loss to Team Maryland in Orlando, guys. It was heartbreaking.
By the way, I don't think the kids say that. I think old people say,
you know what I mean,
back in the day. All right, let's get to a couple of fan questions here for you, Woody. So fan questions, as always, brought to you by Love's Travel Stops. Visit loves.com for more information on the nation's leading travel stop network that's headquartered right here in the great state of Oklahoma. Hank M. would like to know, do you feel like your football IQ has raised this season?
Yes, sir, definitely. Just knowing football, and like I said, knowing what offenses are going to do on certain downs, and just different things like that. I think that was the biggest thing for me. I mean, I always knew football, played my whole entire life, and played games like Madden. So they're going to teach you a little bit about scheme, but really just knowing what offenses like to do, and the different things that you'll see throughout the course of a game. I think that dramatically improved for me.
That's good to hear, man. That's absolutely good to hear. Okay, and this last one comes from Sam H. What was your favorite game of the season?
Favorite game of the season? Probably Iowa State for me. First interception of the season for me. So then I ended up having a really good game after that. So that was probably my favorite game of this season.
You did play great in that game. You were awesome. Was that the first game Billy was back when you got to work back over at corner? Didn't Billy come back for Iowa State? Because I know you had
Yep,
kind
he
of
did.
yeah.
He
And that
did.
was you had that big pick in that game. Bedlam had to be a pretty good one as well, man. You guys, it felt to me like, that was y'all's best performance start to finish collectively.
Yeah, I would say that. No, the offense came out fire and defense came out fire, and then we kind of lost it a little bit in that second quarter. But like you said, I think for an entire game, that was the best we definitely played the entire year. As far as playing complementary football, playing together.
Yeah, a memorable night for sure there in Norman, winning Bedlam, and who knows, it could be the last time we see Bedlam for quite some time. Woody, man, it's always a pleasure. You've been great all season. We love getting a chance to chat with you. I'm sure you back at it this week. You guys got to put the shoulder pads and helmets on and get a little pads popping.
I don't think this week. I think it'll be next week. Right now, we're just working out and doing just little drills and skills and drills and stuff like that. So, but we'll eventually get back into it. Can't wait. Ready for the whole game.
Schmitty got you guys getting your mind right yet?
Yes, sir.
Oh boy.
Got to get your mind right. It's bowl season, man. Thanks for the time. We appreciate it. Best of luck. Get yourself ready, and can't wait to see what you guys are able to do in the bowl game.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that.
Our big thanks to Woody for joining us. And now it's time for me and my man Gabe to break it down. The breakdown brought to you by the Oklahoma Proton Center. It's one of the top cancer centers in the region using state-of-the-art proton therapy. Oklahoma Proton Center, more than a cure, quality of life. Appreciate Woody for joining us. It's good news there. He's playing in the bowl game, which I love. Sooners going to need him in this one. They got Florida State's got some good receivers on the outside. Florida State's good now. I'm just going to tell you right now. I love this opportunity. Love the bowl matchup. Orlando's a great place. I called this bowl game last year with Clemson and Iowa State. Bowl treats the players and everybody really, really good in the Citrus Bowl. But they better have it strapped up and come ready to play because Florida State's got a chance to win 10 games, and they're going to be ready. And they got some dudes. I know we'll get into more of the breakdown of the game itself when we move forward, but just the fact that Woody's going to play, so many guys opt out of bowl games. I think there's as many as 12 Sooners I've seen that are going to be entering the portal today, and that number may be up by the time you're watching this. But I think it's 12 is what I've seen, and I expect that number probably to grow. But Woody going to play in the bowl game, hasn't made his decision, but I like the fact that, you know what, if he's back in college football, it's going to be in a Sooner uniform because I'll tell you this, if he wants to go to the NFL, good for him. I think he's got a future there. He would definitely help this Oklahoma football team next season if he does decide to come back. He could be a key piece at corner for this defense trying to get back on track.
Yeah, and I'm hopeful that he will come back, right? Because while I think he had a solid year, and I know that there's the injury risk factor, I understand that. I do think he could really elevate his draft status coming back for one more season. I know it's a tough decision. I know that, your body only has so many miles. I get it. So we'll see what he ends up deciding. But yeah, that would be big for Oklahoma's defense if you could have a talented, experienced corner coming back, right? That one less thing to worry about, right?
He's got a good mindset too. Like who's the type of veteran you want in your program. You want him rubbing off on your young players. He's going to help instill a good work ethic, a good mindset. Like there's a lot of positives. But to your point, like he's played a lot of football at Oklahoma. If he says, you know what, I'm ready to move on to the next chapter of my life, I think you respect that and, you wish him well. But let's be honest, it would be a great thing for Oklahoma, for their football team next season, for this defense, if he did decide to come back. And I agree with you. I look at it, and if he stay healthy, I think he could really help improve his draft stock. But again, I'm not going to second guess or question either one of his decisions because, a veteran guy who's been there for a long time, if he decides this it's time to go, you completely get that. But I think it's just good to hear for a lot of Sooner fans, like you mentioned when you said to him, hey, Sooner fans, you love to hear that. Like, they want some of their guys to be like, this is my place. This is where I'm going to stay. And at least for Woodi Washington, what he's saying, it's back at Oklahoma or it's off to try my chances in the NFL.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because remember, what was it? The NCAA put out a 2-year exception to the 25 initial counters rule, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was back in the summer. So now maybe that rule ends up getting extended, right? And that just becomes the norm in college football, but we don't know that. So if you're talking about turning over this roster, you don't have a ton of time to do it, right? And I think we all agree that after this season, it's pretty clear that the level of talent on this roster needs to be upgraded. So with how the rules work now, there's a lot of ways to do that, but that's where you see all these guys entering the portal, guys making decisions, stopped out of the bowl game to get ready for the Senior Bowl, that type of stuff. A lot of moving parts right now. And the staff also trying to keep that recruiting class together.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot going on, but yeah, you want to retain your talented players that have eligibility left. You don't want those type of guys like the Woodi Washingtons jumping in the portal and ending up somewhere else. So this is part of college football coaching now, is re-recruiting your roster, re-recruiting your guys. So it's just new reality, right?
It is. And, again, I know the staff has had a lot of conversations with the bulk of the roster. And some of the people in the transfer portal, I think they're in there because, you know what? They didn't feel they were given the right shake, that they've got better opportunity elsewhere. I think it's safe to say some of the people you'll see in the portal was because they were kind of told, like, hey, maybe it makes the most sense for you to hit the portal, right? Like, I think there's a combination of both going on at Oklahoma and across the country. Like, if you're not having those conversations as a coaching staff with your players, whether it's re-recruiting or giving, proper advisement as to how they should play out their future, I think you're making a mistake. Like that, to me, it's a big part of the job. I think that's what we're seeing. Now, the key is going to be to replenish that talent that's leaving, right? And not just replenish it, but upgrade it. And I think that's where it's got to be just such a fascinating world for these coaches because, like you said, like, it's almost, I hate to say getting ready for a bowl game is secondary because you still want to go out, you want to compete, you want to show well, but securing this excellent recruiting class is obviously at the very top, but then also making sure that you're doing your due diligence with all these fresh new names in the portal, watching their film, evaluating them, trying to get them to come in, establish relationships. Like, there's a lot, as you said, moving parts. There's a lot of things that are going on and are going to transpire here over these next several weeks. Again, you want to prepare your team and get ready for a game, but kind of feels like if we're like have an order of things of importance, that's kind of fallen a little bit down the rung.
The 2022 season is what it is, man.
Right.
I'm with you. The bowl game matters. It absolutely matters. You get another chance to go play, right? That matters. I know the streak of winning seasons matters to a lot of people. I get it. But the number one focus right now of this staff should be next season, in my opinion. It should be recruiting, portal, retaining your guys, preventing them from going in the portal, like that type of stuff, like prepping for 2023 and making sure that a season like this never happens again should be the focus, in my opinion.
Yeah. Again, with Woody on, talk defense, talk secondary. Do I expect the Oklahoma defense to be better next year? Yeah. I do, but what does the roster look like? It's almost like it's a waste of time to even discuss any of those type of things right now until we have some kind of indication as to what the roster looks like. But for the guys that will be back, I did think it was important to hear what Woody said, especially with the run fits and with also with the different fronts that they played, whether it's odd or even. That changes the run fits and changes the way those guys, especially on the second level, play, how the safeties fit, where they insert, what your proper leverage is, and not to make excuses at all, but it's not as easy as just saying, go tackle that guy. Right. Like sometimes I want to say, oh, just get off a block and tackle him. I mean, I find myself saying that sometimes, but there's more that goes into it. There is a lot of complexities that come with what they're trying to implement this season. I do think from that standpoint, the players that will be back, there will be much more familiarity, and you would anticipate that aspect of the defense should be much improved heading into next season. But I think it's safe to say also the quickest and easiest way to get better, to get quite a bit better quickly, is to bring in and have better talent on the roster. And I think that ultimately is the number one item of business, whether it's in your recruiting class, players out of high school, or whether it's clearly the quickest fix as we've seen around college football through the portal. So I would imagine here over this next month, you and I are going to spend quite a bit of time discussing that. And as Oklahoma gets some new faces, some new players on the roster, just kind of, talking about what that potentially means and how they could fit in and what it could mean for the defense, because I think that's the bigger talking point at this point than anything else. And it's hard to look too much into the future when it is such a gray and muddy area as to what this roster is going to look like.
Yeah. Some would say it's a very important 2 weeks for Oklahoma football. And I know there's another portal window after spring ball, and there's going to be more change then, right? You really don't know what you've got until June 1st.
Correct.
But I think that, yeah, these next couple weeks until that early signing day, man, it's a critical time for Oklahoma football and what this thing is going to look like next season.
No question. It most certainly is. And I can tell you, just reaching out, the staff is working their tails off to try to get it right, to try to put together as good a roster as possible. We'll see exactly what that looks like in the coming days and in the coming weeks. But you're 100% spot on. An extremely important time right now for the 2022-2023 season going on with this staff. All right, big thanks to Muse Growth Strategies for continuing to help us spread the word about strengthening Oklahoma. Reminder to subscribe to our podcast on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. You can check out our website, strengtheningok.com. Continue to support our athletes at Strengthening Oklahoma. And whether you've been here from the beginning or you're just watching this podcast for the very first time, we appreciate you. We thank you. And we'll see you again next time right here on Strengthening Oklahoma.